The moonlight enlightened Jungkook's face, enveloped by the darkness of the night. His hand held the dying girl in his monstrous hold. She had stopped breathing. She had stopped moving. Drops of blood trickled down his arm one by one. Yet there was no response from the evil himself until a crystal drop rolled down her cheek and fell on his arm. He snapped out, as if the world outside had stopped functioning when his eyes landed on what was happening around him. Time flies quickly, but Jungkook was faster. He placed her down. He had no time to panic or wonder what the hell and how the hell it happened. He checked her breath, provided her CPR. One, two, three. He continued to repeat. The ugly purplish mark against her neck twisted his inside every time his eyes fell on it. Her lips turned purple. One, two, three. He never stopped. Placing his lips on top of hers, he breathed into her. One, two, three. She coughed. Almost 15 minutes later, she finally showed a sign of life. The blood still flowed down his arm. Drip, drip, drip. Yet, he couldn't care less about it. His desperate eyes glued to her while he brought her in his arms and tried to soothe the injury against her neck with gentle caresses, even if he knew they would do nothing. She was weak, powerless. Jungkook was half assured she had no idea of the things happening around her. His arms had tightened around her and face dug in her neck. The moment she woke up, she was in his bed again. The bed she had gotten used to waking up in. Someone had rushed to her side before she could have opened her eyes. That someone took her in their embrace as if their life depended on it. He smelled like him, like the one whose arms she was used to sleeping in. Jungkook, I'm sorry. 3 words, yet they were too deep, broken, desperate. Some damn 3 words should not hold the power to bring storm in oceans. The memory had seeped back into her. The night, the near death experience. Why was she alive and why she had felt no pain? She tried to move back, yet his hold never loosened once. Jungkook, don't come near me next time you see me like that. Wine. I I'm scared. I want to sleep. Maybe forever? She didn't know. But for now, she was stuck with a man who had kidnapped her and almost killed her. He was not ready to let her go. He lay down and kept her in his arms, as if he was scared. Wine. I don't feel any pain. Why? Jungkook, it's been days. You have healed. She gulped, For health purposes, she didn't want to ask how long she had been unconscious. Why? Why were you the way you were? I have so many questions. It's frustrating. I don't know any. I had almost died. I don't care if you kill me now, but I want my answers. Jungkook, I wanted you to find them yourself. He held her cheek with the same hand he almost killed her with. Yet, it felt so comforting. She had almost hated herself. Jungkook, I'll tell you. You'll have to believe me. There are things you have forgotten, and things you won't even remember. The only proof out of a few others is that you were adopted, and you have no idea what your life was before that. Jungkook told her everything, from the very beginning till now, where she laid in his arms. Jungkook belonged to a poor family. All they had was a shelter given by their employers, a meal of 2 times to fill them up. Their employers were Wine parents. They were wealthy, had their own business, villas, cars, everything this world had to offer. They could afford it. Jungkook worked for them as a servant. He was just a child. His father worked as a security guard in their villa, mother as their maid, so he stayed in their home in the headquarters section. Jungkook and Hwan had made good friends. Since he was her only age fellow, they went to same class, though different schools. Jungkook missed a few years, so even being older than her, he was in the same grade as her. From the childhood until they were in their teens, they would sneak out and meet and play. They became such good friends. All they had was each other. As the time passed by, they started growing feelings for each other. But then again, he was just a poor boy who didn't deserve the queen. Vine's father had a friend. He was not as wealthy as him, but they were good friends. That friend betrayed them. One day, raided their home and killed them mercilessly. Jungkook's father, being the guard, was killed as well, and his mother too, trying to save him. It was a bloodbath. Cries, screams, murders, tears of betrayal. Jungkook lost everything and everyone within a night. His whole life shattered right in front of him. All he had left was Vian, and he lost her right before his eyes. That friend had taken Vian into his custody, brought her to a doctor, and got her memory removed. That friend was today Vian's father. He did all that to own their property left by Vian's real father, since he was now Vian's guardian. That was all the very reason he was afraid of letting Vian out of home, especially when there was a serial killer on loose. If she got hurt, he would lose his only chance to get hands on the world. Jungkook might not be wealthy at that time, but he had a loving family and a woman he loved. He had big dreams of achieving success, of one day asked for her from her dad with dignity and respect. Everything shattered right before his eyes. That bloodshed had left him with a trauma in such a young age. He was just a teenager. A tear slipped Wine's eye. It was true, she didn't remember anything, nor anything was ever able to trigger her memory, but listening to everything, she felt a strong pain clutching her heart. Jungkook turned on his back, unable to see the tear in her eyes. His eyes stuck to the ceiling as he continued. Jungkook, I killed everyone who had helped the man in achieving that. The doctor, the lawyers, the guards who betrayed your father. Jungkook, but I couldn't kill that man. You believed he was your father, and that would have left you in pain. He killed my parents. He took you away from me. He killed our memories together. I was as good as dead to you, and yet I couldn't kill him. Jungkook, every time I committed a murder, I would lose sense of reality. It's not in my hands anymore. I feel like I'm teleported back in time, where my mother's dying, and yet yelling at me to run away. I've lost senses of present, and now I almost killed you too. Vine believed each word, each and everything that left his mouth, not because she remembered everything, but because the pain in her heart was a proof to that. She knew he was a killer. She knew he was her tormentor. But in that moment, she rolled on top of him, wrapped her arms around him, and gave him what he longed for decades. She embraced him, and he broke down. To be continued.